Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today I'm going to be giving an update on NOVN. Make sure to drop a like on this video to help this channel grow. Subscribe to get the latest out of the videos I make and leave your notifications on. We're going to be doing here technical analysis and the latest news. The previous DD is in the description below if you would like a little bit more in-depth view of their stock. I'm going to be doing technical analysis and then news and what I think about the stock and how I'll play it. So first things first, we get to see the stock price is still above the 50 SMA, and you get to see that the 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA, and the stock is oversold, all which is bullish. You get to see here the average directional index has hit a peak of around 50, which is usual, which as I mentioned before is the warning sign, almost around 60, and is actually dipping downwards. So that's a little bit of a bearish move there. And what you get to see as well is that the MACD has gone negative onto a reversal on the 30th after it got rejected that reversal in the trading action zone around the 30th. So that's actually trending downwards at this point. 10 SMA is still above 30 EMA, but the stock is under the 200 SMA, which doesn't mean much since it's above the 50 SMA, so that kind of cancels out. We need to look into the 1 hour perspective. So looking into the 1 hour perspective, what we get to see here is an MACD that is curving downwards, although what you might have is something where it curves downwards and just jumps back up, or something very much as it done before. But it looks like it's more of a sloppy play. The average directional index went from around 913, which is basically extremely sloppy, to pick up around 2111, suggesting that there could be a trend possibly forming. The William percent R is sitting in more around neutral, going a little bit towards the oversold part, and momentum here seems to actually be a little bit on the positive side compared to the last 4 or 5 days. Now the stock price, 10 SMA, is finally above the 30 EMA, so that's a bullish sign here, but they're very close to one another, so might be a little bit of a dangerous sign. The stock price is above the 50 SMA on the 1 hour perspective, and that just makes it a lot more bullish than the day before. Now the stock price is still under the VWAP and the 200 SMA, so that's bearish, but it looks like it's actually might have something to do in the next week or so. Now moving on towards moving averages, what we get to see is that the stock is trading in the lower band here. Lower band is sitting at 0.62 to 0.69, and it has some kind of potential to stay within this band and trade up and down on it. Moving on to Fibonacci retracements, and what we get to see here, so this is a little bit of an unusual Fibonacci retracements in my opinion, just because usually the 100% goes to the highest mark, but what we have here is the 161.8% as the highest mark and 100% on the lower peak, so that's an interesting thing. Still fits in amazingly, so we're seeing a support around 0.61 on Fibonacci retracements, a 0.60 in terms of traditional support, and then a 0.63 on traditional, and then in terms of resistance, we're seeing 0.65 here traditional, and then a 0.67 traditional, and in Fibonacci we're seeing a 0.69, and then traditional 0.71, 0.73, and then 0.74. Then we're looking Fibonacci 0.76, and then we're looking at 0.77 traditional, and then a 0.79, and then we're looking at the 0.82 mark for both Fibonacci and traditional. In terms of below supports, other than the ones I mentioned, we're looking at 0.59, and then we're looking somewhere around the 0.57 mark, happening all the way back here, and then the 0.56 mark. Now, in terms of different trends and whatnot, it basically has broken that upward trend that it was forming before. So that's gone already. In terms of a pattern, we don't see much in terms of a pattern. If we're looking for something, for instance, like a Fibonacci arc, it doesn't tell us much at all in this case. So we're going to move on towards news, and then going to mention how I'll be playing the stock. So in terms of latest news here, we have the 8K form. The 8K form here is basically had different things that people voted on or shareholders voted on. That was on July 28th, I believe. So 3 things. Nothing really matters here to me except one thing. Proposal of amendment reinstates certificate incorporated of Novan Incorporation. The proposal to approve the amendment of the company's restated certificate of corporations to effect a reverse stock split of the company's common stock at a ratio not less than 1:2 and not more than 1:15. With such ratio and implementation, the timing of such reverse split is to be determined by the company's board of directors in its sole discretion. Was approved. The result was the stockholders' votes on the matter as follows. So, I know some people will probably comment down and say, well, reverse split is not going to happen and whatnot. it is approved, right? And a stock that is trading at 0.63, it actually might still need a reverse split. Now, is there any vote coming in towards for additional shares? Not that I see, but they might have some shelf. We need to dig a little bit more into that. But there is a reverse split that got approved. When or how much the ratio is, that is still yet to be determined. So it's not like it's happening today or tomorrow. So no need to panic sell just at this exact moment. What we're looking at here is one of the latest purchases on institutionals. Of course, we have 199, almost 200,000 shares. They increased their shares by almost 3 times, so that puts it somewhere around, let's say, almost 65,000 shares that they had. So they increased their positions quite a bit. 5,000 shares here added by IFP. Now that's a small position, but still, nonetheless, it looks like there's still institutional interest. But we're talking about an average price of around 0.48, 0.49. It's trading at 0.63. Looking now in terms of different, let's say, insiders and see if anything new, but I don't think so. Just in case I did miss it. Nothing to be purchased all the way back from April. So now going on to how I would play the stock. I would definitely want to see if it does hold a 0.59. If it does hold a 0.59 again, then that's a multiple bottom. That could be very interesting to see, and I would definitely consider putting in a little bit of a small position in. It looks like once it hits the 0.59, it does love the 0.65 back to the next resistance, and that could be something where it's a 6 to 7% up. So that would definitely be my position. Now coming in towards, if you have an open position with it, I would consider perhaps holding to see what happens at least later on in this week. Looking more towards next week. But what I would do if I was in this stock, I would probably sell my position currently if it goes up to the upper band. So if you remember the upper band I did mention, it's probably sitting in around 0.69. So probably sell around 0.68, 0.69, and then rebuy it on a little bit of a dip on the 0.59. So that way you're actually risking only profits that you've actually made on, rather than risking your entire position without making any profit. So you want to lock some of the profits down. Now, in terms of the stock tanking down to all the way to 0.48, I don't think that that's actually going to happen. There's a lot of support sitting in there. But if a reverse split is announced, you might see a lot of panic selling that would happen. All in all, it is a solid company. You'd find my other DD on it. Just there is as well a risk with a lot of penny stocks out there, but this just has a vote already. But I'm not scared of playing it myself. What do you think about this sticker? Make sure you mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and you have a wonderful day.